Firstly, they said that school is an ideological state apparatus for people to be indoctrinated into what the state wants them to know. But I like to tell them that this is firstly better than children not having the opportunity to learn anything at all, which is the case in poor and developing countries. And secondly, that this is not always the case, and that students often in public schools are not actually indoctrinated into what the government wants them to believe. In fact, they are given by the government education a chance to learn critically just like anyone else in any private school. Secondly, they said that often you don't need an education to make it big, and hope schools and dropouts actually make it big in the world. However, as I already pointed out, this actually only happens in developed countries where the infrastructure is in place for them to take advantage of their natural skills and thus, make it big and be profitable and innovative. This doesn't actually happen in developing countries, which is where this policy is designed to help the most people. Thirdly, they said that these people can contribute through the informal economy. We'd like to point out that it's not just about them contributing, it's about them being benefited. And if they're in the informal economy, they are doomed to forever be in the informal economy and never actually make it big, never get a bigger income, and never let their children have a better life than they did themselves. Fourthly, she said that it subordinates intellect to skill. Now, firstly, this is what the job market requires. This is what people need to get jobs, and this is how they are going to get jobs and thus raise themselves out of poverty. So I don't think that's actually a disadvantage. Fifthly and finally, she said that it will lead to social inequality in schools due to bullying between children of different social strata. However, that's simply not true, because it's actually less inequality because you are giving these rich and poor children the exact same opportunity, the exact same school, same teachers, the same classroom to be in, so they're actually going to have a better chance to make it big in life. Now, I'm going to make two arguments. Firstly, that universal education is actually needed to end poverty. Because firstly, it provides skills that actually lead to constant employability, improve productivity, and greater income throughout their lifetime, and thus throughout their family's lifetime as well. Secondly, as income increases, their living standards increase and they can see the value of education, so they invest in education for their family, for their descendants, and thus it's a virtuous cycle that more people get more education. Thirdly, as more people get more income from this education, there are more people who are rich enough to pay taxes. That means there's more money for the state to do things that it really needs to do, like giving infrastructure, funding more welfare programs in the country. And that's exactly how education helps. Fourthly, it actually checks population explosion, because it's been found that when people are educated, they are much less likely to have more children. It's actually a much more effective solution to population explosion, which is a typical problem in developing countries. Now, a second argument is why we need to make it compulsory, because this is one argument that they had a problem with. So we need to point out the fact that in so many countries, but one example is India. There are so many people who are backward and do not want to send their kids to school. For example, many people who don't want to send the girl child in India to school. What's your point of information?
Just tell me one thing, that what use is education if it is not willful but it is imposed on others? We all have an undeniable and a fundamental right.
Right, I get your point. I get your point. But what you're saying is that we should let people choose. However, firstly, there's precedence to actually not giving people the choice. That is, for example, when you make voting in national elections mandatory, as it is in Singapore and Australia, you're saying that, look, you have the right to cast a vote, but it's also a duty you have to cast a vote, and we're going to enforce that duty. Similarly, in this case, you're saying that you have a right to get an education, but you also have a duty to get your children educated, because it's not just to your benefit that you're getting educated, it's to the benefit of the greater good and society and everyone around you as well, who benefits from being surrounded by educated people. So we think that in the name of this greater good, it's actually quite okay to have people saying that we don't let people opt out of the education system, because there are so many benefits that not just them but everyone else in society can incur. And secondly, the reason is that we have maximum benefit to the economy if maximum people are educated, and thus maximum people have the skills to participate in the economy. And finally, when you have a common education system, when everyone is educated under mostly the same system as mostly the public education system, it actually leads to a sort of common culture, it leads to more social cohesion between different economic strata. That's why we think that it actually is necessary to have compulsory education. Thank you.